So here is a description of the EarSketch audio data representation project. The project was created using scores from Bulls games, whether or not they won or lost games within their season this year. So I inputted the scores, and what I did was I took each game score and took the difference between the Bulls score and their opponent's score, and then I added each 3-game stretch together. So for instance, the first number in scores is 13, which means over a 3-game stretch, the Bulls had scored 13 more points than their opponent. And the next 3-game stretch, they had scored 14 less points than their opponent, and so on. So in line 14, I am defining a big win. So you'll see later on, a big win is where they had scored more than 10 or equal to 10 points. I define in line 21 a win, which is where they scored from 0 up to 10 more than their opponents. I defined a loss to be where they scored between -10 and 0. And then I defined a big loss to be if they scored fewer than -10 points than their opponent. So I defined each of those, which I will call later on in the function. Then I have the song that I am defining. So the first part in the song is a for loop, and so I have for s in scores. So each time through the loop, it will access a number in the scores. So the first time through the loop, it will access 13. Then the next time through the loop, it will access -14, and so on. So the first question here is, if s is greater than or equal to 10, then play big win. So that means that I will cycle up to the big win function, and it will play the big win on track 1 from start to end, and then big win 2 on track 2 from start to end. And I also used a set effect here to raise the number of voices on track 1 starting at measure 8. So then, if that is not true, then it will go to this next statement, the else if statement. And so now here I have if s, that was, remember, 13 the first time through the loop, so that would have gone in the first one. But in another one, if s was less than 10, but greater than or equal to 0, then we would play the win function, which was defined up here on line 21. So it would play the win sound on track 3 from start to end, and then the win 2 sound on track 4 from start to end. And of course, then, if it didn't fall into either of those categories, then it would go to the next else if statement, where this says if s is less than 0 and s is greater than -10, then of course it would play the loss function, which is defined up here on line 27. And of course, if it didn't fall into any of those categories, it would go to the else function, which of course would be where s is less than or equal to -10. Then it would play the big loss. Now, I have used the parameters start and end. So each one of these functions is going to play from start to end. But at the end of the for loop, I'm going to add 3 on to start and add 3 on to end. So, all the way down here at the bottom, line 55, I call the Bulls song function. Now remember, before line 55, nothing would happen. If you run this program, no music would play, no music would show up because you never called any of the functions. So I call Bulls song, and it says 1, 4. So that means that start is 1 and end is 4. So the first time through the loop, it's going to play the big win. So you go up to big win. It says big win from start to end. So that means the two fit medias here are going to go from 1 to 4. Then you're going to get to the bottom of the for loop and you're going to add 3 on. And so you're going to add 3 on to 1. And so now start is going to become 4. And you're going to add 3 on to 4. And end is going to become 7. So the next time through the loop, start is 4 and end is 7. And then the next time through the loop, you're going to add 3 on to each again. And so that means when you run the program, if you look up here, you will see that you have from 1 to 4, then down here, 4 to 7, then 7 to 10, and so on.